Hi guys, thank you guys for joining. Thanks for the introduction. And let me introduce myself in a bit. So I'm not only expert in Kaseya VSA, just to let you guys know a bit about history of myself. I used to be an IT trainer. So what do I do by IT trainer is that I teach students in an institute, or I can call that a college. So what are the things I teach them? Well, I teach them how to, if you remember those IDE cable hard disk stage, I teach them how to assemble a PC. I teach them how to set up internet. Teach them how to install Windows. I still remember the time it was Windows Server 2003. So yeah, I used to be a trainer for 3 years before I ventured into the MSP side of things, which is I touch base on Kaseya VSA related. So yeah, my passion is about training. So I hope in this session today I'll be able to share with you guys about some key features of Kaseya VSA. Now, let me share my screen so that I can show you guys our Kaseya VSA server. Okay. So I hope you guys can see my screen. All right. So let me start with agent procedure. Now, agent procedure is a very useful tool in Kaseya VSA. It's one of my favorite modules, to be honest, in the entire software itself. We call this the automation center itself. We can do a lot of things with agent procedure, which I'm going to show you today, like what can agent procedure do. So one sample is this. Let's imagine over here I have two PC. Imagine you have like 500 machine deployment, it could be 500, could be 200, could be any numbers. And okay, now that you have all your machine with all the operating system all loaded up, so how do you deploy, let's say, 7-zip across all the machine? Now, presume if we do it manually, it would take maybe a machine 2 minutes, roughly 2 minutes. So if you do that, the math, we do that 10 machine, so 10 times 2, you have 20 minutes taken to install just 7-zip. So now with Kaseya VSA, as long as you have the agent installed on the machine, you can select this script and say, you know what, I'm going to select all the machines and click run now. So with this, within these few seconds of me clicking the script and clicking run now, I'm able to push 7-zip across to all machines in the entire region that I've selected. Now, of course, we also have the option to customize further. So for instance, let's say you have 500 machines. For the first 100, you only want 7-zip and Notepad. For the second 100, you wanted to include VLC, video, different softwares and stuff like that. So we have the option to create something called a script checklist. So for example, this is my first batch. My first batch, I wanted to install all 3 software. So I click on this script and click run now, and it will pop up the list. So I have the option to say, yes, I want 7-zip, yes, I want Notepad, and yes. So with this, it will trigger the script on the back end to say, you know what, this is going to trigger for 7-zip, Notepad, VLC, and so on. So if let's say I run to another batch of computers, and if I don't want Notepad Plus at all, I only want 7-zip for the second batch, what I need to do is just type no. No. And when I do that, they'll only trigger the 7-zip script to run on the machine. So that's agent procedure on how to automate your things. But of course, agent procedure not only allows you to do software installation, you have a lot of options, a lot of samples that we have loaded in the Kaseya, such as, for example, if you want to reboot servers, it is important to know that we do not reboot the servers on the middle of production day. So sometimes we may require to stay back, like let's say 12 a.m. I still remember back in those days where I need to stay back at the data center at around midnight so that I can, physically reboot the server. Now with Kaseya VSA, with the agent procedure in place, all you need to do is select the script, like for example, reboot, and you even have the option to schedule the procedure. So for example, you're required to reboot at 2 a.m. You do not need to stay in the server room at 2 a.m. All you need to do is at 2 p.m., I give you the instructions, I schedule the reboot to the server and say, please reboot this at 2 a.m. So let me select the time, what time? 2 a.m. and submit. The moment I click submit, it will start to schedule and then reboot itself by 2 a.m. So you do not need to, wait until stay up late at night, wait until 2 a.m. just to purposely reboot the server. Well, of course, there's many more options you can do with agent procedure, and I got to admit that I myself haven't 100% explored what I can do with agent procedures. Countless and unlimited ways, ideas, and a lot more intervention that we can create from agent procedure. Now, next one I want to show you guys is agent monitoring. So we have talked about agent procedure. My next one is I want to monitor. I want to get more information or knowledge on what happened to my machine. So let me introduce to you Kaseya monitoring. Now I have two monitoring in place that I'll categorize it. I split it to the fixed monitoring by Kaseya. So what does it mean, fixed monitoring? That is that these are the predefined monitor sets that has been created by Kaseya. So things like agent status. Now, agent status is used to monitor if an agent went offline, and there are two primary causes that cause the machine to went offline. One is the server just crashed, the server literally lost connection and just crashed. Or second, the internet or the network has been disconnected. Under these two circumstances, it triggers a agent status and tell us that the server is not accessible. So let's set an agent status. So I have the option here to create alarm, ticket, run script, or email recipients. So what do I do is that I select email recipients and check in the agent status. I'll check in for 2 minutes, for instance. And if the server is still offline for more than 30 minutes, send another alert. So what I can do here is key in either, all IT distribution email, yourcompany.com, or I can set it with a comma, help desk. So if you have a 24/7 help desk, you can set it to a help desk, which eventually goes to the ticketing system for the engineer to pick it up. So with this, I select all and apply. So right now, the Kaseya will start to receive connection from these two machines and start to monitor. If any of the machines stop communicating, which means it's either went to offline or the network got disconnected, you guys will receive an email to say that, you know what, this machine stopped checking in. Time to check on the status of the machines. So this is what I call the fixed alert from Kaseya. We have multiple fixed alert, like low disk space alert. So this low disk space alert will monitor all the disk space regardless of is it a C drive, D drive, anything. We predefine how many percent we want to monitor. So like 10%, 20%, and so on. Now, the other monitor that I want to mention to share is that the customized monitor. So Kaseya gave us the option to really, customize our preferred monitor state. So for instance, general system performance. So general system performance will help to monitor things like your memory, your system, your processor, your paging file, basically almost anything related to the performance of your overall computer. So what happens is that these are the predefined one, and we set the threshold. So when the threshold, let's say, for example, your memory page per second reach above 3000 on a special account, it will start to send alert based on what we have set just now. So there's a lot of things we can do with customized monitoring, monitored counter, and then which is from your Windows counter. And you can even do services check as well. So my favorite thing about this monitoring is that when you not only monitor for services, it will try itself to recover, you see. Because the main purpose of Kaseya VSA is try to automate a lot of things, try to fix a lot of things in the back end so that you do not need to intervene it manually all the time. So it builds in an auto restart function, which whenever a service is down, you'll try for 3 times before you send out the alert. You can even customize further to set how many times you want to define the restart attempt and so on. So yeah, those are all customizable. And you can even monitor process status. So for example, some people, they have some important application. They want to monitor if the application stop running, you can set a monitor process status like firefox.exe and stuff like that. So really, this monitor, it allows you to customize further to monitor whichever criteria you wanted. So which then brings us to the next one, which is auto remediation. Now, what does auto remediation? It's to help auto remediate any issues that you encounter, which of course requires the combination of agent procedure and at the same time monitoring as well. So over here, I have a monitor of C drive below 2 gig. So if I set monitor C drive below 2 gig, what I want Kaseya to do for me is that if it's below 2 gig, please run the first level of action, which is commonly, as we know, if the C drive starts to go low on disk space, we will do common things like disk cleanup, remove temporary files in an attempt to free up some space. So how do we do that automatically? We select on the agent procedure. On this page, I have already created, like for example, cleanup, Windows disk cleanup. This script will try to run all the disk cleanup, clean temporary folders and all the stuff in an attempt to free up space. So to combine, all I need to do is go to monitor and I go to assign monitoring. So let's say on this part, I just select, monitor C drive below 2 gig. So C drive below, let's say for any drive, for example. And as mentioned, we have the option like create alarm, create ticket, run script, and email recipient. I can select both email and run script at the same time. So I select the script, disk cleanup, Windows disk cleanup, and I assign to all this machine. So what happened is that the moment the disk reach below a certain threshold that has been set, predefined by the monitor, it will run the script to disk cleanup, try to do the first level troubleshooting, first level auto remediation before needing you to intervene in a higher level, which of course try to save you time from all the basic level support. So that's auto remediation. Of course, with a custom set of monitoring set and the unlimited ideas of agent procedure, we are able to think of something else that we can to try to do auto remediation with the both modules, monitor, Kaseya monitor, and also agent procedure. Yeah. So that's essentially both of the module. And now I'm going to move on to one of my favorite tools that has been just released, function that's just released like last year, if my memory serves me right, which is the screen recording. Now we have a major concern about remote, like different company have different major concerns, is that how do we know if the engineer is not doing something that is out of the compliance? So how do we know if he's doing something right or doing something fishy in the background? Kaseya has invented something called the screen recording. So essentially what it does is that it allows you to screen record your remote session, regardless of who's the engineer, who's the one remoting in. So you can have the option to manually start recording it, or we can set it in the policy to auto record all session, or the remote session, regardless who's the one initiating. So that's configurable in the policy management, which I'm going to show you later. So that's screen recording. And the best part is now it shows you the session time, which is to tell you how long have the engineer been in the session. Over here you can see 36 seconds and so on. Yeah. So that's screen recording. And another one I want to show you guys is Live Connect. So as we know, in order to remote, we just need to click on the agent. So that's a full GUI remote as we have just seen just now. So how about another type of remote which Kaseya have these features installed by default, which is called the Live Connect. Now I'm sure a lot of people here, a lot of technicians here encounter times where you need to remote in and the user say, sorry, I'm busy. I need to do this work immediately and so on. But we want to collect like logs, data, do some file transfer beforehand before we do the actual GUI transfer. So with these features called the Live Connect, I just need to hover over this agent instead of clicking it. I'll hover over. When this box pops up, there's a button called Live Connect. So I just click on Live Connect. We call this a non-intrusive remote session. So this will give you 90% remote capability to the agent without disrupting the end user. So meaning you do not have GUI access, but you have a lot of back-end access. So what you can do with Live Connect is something like file transfer. So you can upload and download files to and fro to the machine. Let's say I wanted to download this key working folder for blocks troubleshooting. I just select this button and download. But if I want to upload something beforehand, I just click upload and select select the files from my machine, vice versa. You can even run command prompt together. So for example, if I run ipconfig, it will show the IP address here. And at the end user side, it will not show anything. The end user will not notice anything. The end user are still able to continue its work, unless, of course, you type something to echo out, which is a different scenario. Okay, so some people may ask, you know what? Can I do PowerShell instead? I'm more well-versed in PowerShell. I do not prefer command prompt. The answer is yes, you can. You just need to switch between command prompt and PowerShell. And there you have it, PowerShell from Live Connect. You can even do like services, restart services from this Live Connect console. To show you what are the services. The red is stop and then green is started. You can like stop and restart the services, set the services type, startup type. Yep, you can do essentially quite a number of things through Live Connect without disrupting the end user on the GUI interface. So that's Live Connect. You can even do chat as well. You chat with the user just to check, are you free right now, instead of having to pick up the phone to call the end user instead. So that's Live Connect. And now I want to introduce you guys to Windows patching. Now we know Windows patching in our past experience is something very complicated to configure. We need to make sure things are working well. But with Kaseya VSA software management, which is patching for Windows, the module built its way to allow us to set up a patching system within just 4 steps. So remember this thing, 4 steps. All I need to do is just take 4 steps to create a patching system and let Kaseya do its job. So the first step, let's take a look, is a scan analysis profile. So scan, as the word as is mentioned, is to scan whether if the machine requires a patch or not. So Kaseya made it simple to give you 4 patches category impact, which is critical, older than 30 days, recommended, virus removal, which is the malicious tool removal, monthly release by Microsoft. So let's take, for example, I create this called workstation scan profile. So once I have the scan profile, I can define which to review, which to reject, and which to approve. If I select approve, the patches will automatically go to the patch deployment to be approved and installed on the machine. If I select review, it will allow me to review the patches before it's deployed to the environment. Now, if I select reject, of course, it will auto-reject all the patches and will not be installed. So some people may ask, what's the best setting? What's the best setting or practices to which patch impact to select? The answer is up to your organization compliance. Some organization that require the critical patch to be installed right away, they can go ahead and click approve, or else it's up to your compliance settings to define to review, reject, or to approve. You can even select when's the best time to scan. So my recommendation is to always know when your company operates, when is the active hours, scan during their active hours, because if all the machine is offline, it couldn't scan anything. So let's say Thursday, Friday, at around after lunch, if let's say your staff are leaving the machine on during lunch, you can select the time, like for example, 1 p.m. 1 p.m. to start the scan. Yep. So this is the first step, is to create a scan profile. Now the second step is the deployment profile. As the name itself says, is to help to deploy the patches. This is where we define what are the deployment actions. So as we know, when a patch has been deployed, some server requires a reboot. So let's say this is server deploy profile. And I have the option when the patch has been installed, what are the reboot options? For server, we definitely do not want to reboot straight away. Let's say in the midday, suddenly where everybody's busy working and the server just rebooted for a patch. So what do we select is, we select a skip reboot or do not reboot, send an email for both options. Then you can send it to your help desk at helpdesk.com. So your help desk will pick it up and schedule the reboot accordingly after hours. So that's the second step. You can even set the schedule to when to deploy the patches. So for example, if I deploy on Friday, Thursday, either you can do it daily, weekly, or monthly. Okay, so you can select like, okay, let me push the patches around 4 p.m. Yep. Especially for servers, since the servers some of the servers are online 24/7, you can even start to patch them on the weekend, Saturday and Sunday as well. So that's not an issue. So that's the second step of creating the profile, the deployment. And then we have the third steps, which is the assignment of the profile. Now we have two profiles created. All we need to do is assign the profile to the machine. So let's select all the machine, assign the profiles. So we have the scan, we have the workstation, scan and deployment profile, and we click assign. So once we have assigned the profile, the machine will start to scan and deploy the patches accordingly. Now, if you remember on the scan and analysis, we have review and reject and approve. So if we set auto approve, we basically essentially do not need to do anything because it will auto approve and start to deploy the patch according to schedule. Now, what happens if we select auto review is that you will have the fourth and final steps, which is called the patch approval. Now, these steps allows you to define what are the patches to approve, what are patches not to approve. So let's go ahead and take a look at the patch approval. So with this patch approval, you're able to, select this scan profile and then go through the patches and say, these patches, if we tested on the staging area, it seems to be causing some issue with Windows and it's taking a long time to fix it. We go ahead and reject the patch. Or else, if everything is all going good, we click approve the patches. Yeah, so that's 4 steps of Windows patching. It tried to make it simple so you're able to deploy it to your environment without causing any much of hassle. So that's Windows patching essentially. Next one I want to share with you guys is the reset Windows password. So let me switch it back to this group so that I can do some reset password. So reset password seems like a fairly easy task, but now that we all work from home or now that we require to support remotely, it can be hassle if a user have admin access and forgotten the user password. So for example, if the user forgot the admin password, one of the way to reset it last time, if I remember correctly, is through a software, third-party software like Highland Boot. I need to boot into a different OS. I need to reset the password. Especially in this stage, it's going to be a hassle because it's limited option for us to travel. So Kaseya VSA make it easy for you to reset the password remotely. Admin password, user password, as long as the agent is installed, the machine is online, you can reset the password accordingly. So one day you receive a call from the user say, I've forgotten the administrator password. My machine is R2D2. I select this machine, type in a new password, and click apply. So with this, I'll be able to send the reset password to the machine and then tell the user the new password. Or I have the option to create a new administrator account. So let's say, I want to create a new admin account for the user. I select this admin one and click create a new account. I have the option to set that as an administrator or a standard user. So this is a very simple tool, but yet powerful. It's helpful at this season to help you to reset password for the users. Now, finally, one of the features that I want to share with you guys is policy management. Now, policy management is not to be confused with Windows group policy. No, so Windows group policy is for Windows, whereby we have the Kaseya policy, which is for Kaseya. So imagine this, you have set a patch profile to your existing machine. Now what happens if you onboard another 50 machines? You need to remember to apply the same profile across all the new machines. And then the next stage, we have another 200 machines. So how do we standardize this setting? Is through policy management. So policy management makes it easier for you to onboard a lot of settings to the new machine. So in the future, all you need to do is install an agent and let Kaseya do all the application of the settings. So let me show you an example. I'm going to create a new policy, and this one is called monitoring policy. Then I add a policy and say this is called server monitoring. Server monitoring, then I can set the view to say that, you know what, which are the monitoring that's applicable for this policy. So as the thing it says, all Windows servers. So I'm going to select all views, all Windows servers. So what happens is that when you apply this policy globally, it will only apply to any agent that matches the criteria Windows Server. Yeah. So for Windows Server, one of the key things that I want to make sure that the setting is standardized across all Windows Server is the offline monitoring. So let me set this here, your email, and check in for, let's say, 2 minutes, rearm for 30 minutes, and add it to the monitoring set. So now I have this predefined. All I need to do is go to organization. So before that, I need to save and apply. Apply now. So I go ahead to go to organization. I start to apply this policy across the entire global ORG. So this is my global organization. Select this and assign. So what happened right now after this is that after this, the policy has been applied throughout the entire Kaseya VSA, when you install an agent that is Windows Server, it will automatically assign the monitoring core, which is the alert monitoring. So you do not need to, again, manually assign it one by one. Kaseya will help you do the job by itself. It's like a pre-onboarding checklist, which you do not need to do it manually, where Kaseya will help you to do it automatically. So we can do a lot of things with policy management, like the remote control, silent intake control, set all user to require permission up to your setting, applied on based on your organization or whichever group it is. Yeah. So that's essentially policy management. Okay, to make your life easier, to apply policy to all the machine automatically without the need of you intervening the configuration of the agents. So that's essentially policy management. And finally, I would like to introduce to you guys what's new in Kaseya VSA. So we have a lot of release from Kaseya VSA, and today we have .26, we have the latest release. So one of the key things that has been supported is Mac OS Catalina. So on the previous version of Kaseya VSA, it's still not supporting Mac OS Catalina, but with this latest release, it allows you to install agent on Mac OS Catalina. Yeah, that's one of the main new features in Kaseya VSA. And the second features, which is my favorite, and I'm super excited to announce this. As we know, agent procedure relies on Flash. So at the same time, we know that Google Chrome is starting to disable Flash in December 2020. So with that in place, I'm quite nervous. Before that, it's like, what if Flash does not support at all? So how can I create agent procedures and all? So with the latest release, Kaseya allows us to run agent procedure on, here we go, HTML5. Super slick, super nice, super neat. So let me give this script a name. Example, start to create a new procedure. So you can see here, it's basically almost the same, but right now we are running on HTML version, like a, let's say I'm drag and drop, I got check variables, a lot of this. It looks colorful. I like it. It looks like, Microsoft Visual Studio Plus and things like that. So the one more best thing about this HTML5 is I'm going to show you guys a bit of magic. So as we know, dark mode is a new black. So we can toggle between dark mode or light mode. See, if you like light mode, you can set light mode. If you like dark mode, switch it back to dark mode. That's my favorite thing about, agent procedure with the new HTML version of it. So drag and drop, a lot of things are colorful. I love how it looks like. It looks quick, compared to the Flash version of agent procedure. It's going to be a bit slow, but with this HTML, I love this one a lot. So that's the second key features of the latest release. And of course, the final one, which is the best release of all, is two-factor authentication. Now, let me show you guys the two-factor authentication. The two-factor authentication in place is to help you increase your security level of access. So let me show you an example. I have created a sample user. And then it will start to ask me to enroll in two-factor authentication. So all I need to do is just, download from my mobile either Google Authenticator or Microsoft Authenticator. These both are supported. Once you install the Google Authenticator, just add and scan a barcode. When I scan, it'll ask me to key in the new code. So I'm going to try a wrong code to show you guys what happens if I put the wrong code here. It'll say invalid. So now I'm putting in the right code, 773. There we go. I'm in. So the reason why two-factor is in place is to secure your access, so that in the case if your password is compromised, there's still another factor in place to authorize to identify whether are you the right person to log into Kaseya VSA. For on the cloud, it's mandatory that everybody have 2FA. It has been auto-enrolled. For on-prem, you have the option to toggle between 2FA, which is on the logon policy, to disable or not. But I highly recommend everyone here to enroll in 2FA to have a better security access to Kaseya VSA. As we know, Kaseya VSA is a very powerful tool. So that's three of the main things that's been released by Kaseya VSA. First, macOS Catalina support, agent procedure running on HTML instead of Flash, and finally, two-factor authentication. And that's pretty much from me, and I really want to thank you guys a lot for joining this session. I hope you guys learned something from today. Now I shall pass the time back to our host. Thank you all.